Charles, an American in his 30s, always felt a pull toward something different, something beyond the mundane life he had known. The 9-to-5 grind seemed to stretch endlessly, each day blending into the next, the same routines wearing on his spirit. Deep inside, he harbored a growing dissatisfaction with life in the United States, where the pursuit of success often overshadowed the more significant joys of living. The long hours spent in meetings and the constant pressure to achieve left him yearning for a different way of life, a chance to start anew somewhere that offered the promise of adventure and deeper connections. After hours of late-night scrolling through travel blogs and photos of stunning destinations, Charles stumbled upon the Philippines. The vibrant culture, friendly people, and breathtaking landscapes captured his heart and imagination. He pictured himself basking on the beaches with crystal-clear waters, tasting exotic fruits from local markets, and perhaps even falling in love with someone who appreciated life's simple pleasures as he began to shift priorities. The idea of moving to the Philippines became an obsession. He started to wonder if this wasn't just an escape, but rather a necessary journey for his soul. Convinced that he had found his answer, Charles began to plan his move meticulously. Days blended into weeks as he researched cities, the best times to visit, local customs, and communal traditions that could enrich his experience. Each new nugget of information fueled his excitement for the upcoming adventure. He spoke with others who had made similar moves, absorbing their stories, and their words ignited a spark of hope within him. What if this is the place where I finally find myself? He often thought. A new life filled with love, laughter, and personal fulfillment beckoned him. Yet, beneath the surface of all this enthusiasm lay an underlying fear. What if it didn't work out? What if he was simply romanticizing an experience that would be fraught with challenges he couldn't even begin to imagine? These doubts occasionally crept into his mind, but he quickly pushed them aside, telling himself that all great adventures come with risks. The allure of a new beginning was stronger than the fear of the unknown. As the departure date approached, he said his goodbyes, packing his life into 2 large suitcases and a carry-on. He felt a mix of exhilaration and trepidation, wondering if he was truly ready to leave everything familiar behind. Arriving in the Philippines felt like stepping into a dream. The warmth enveloped him as soon as he stepped out of the airport, a stark contrast to the cool, sterile air conditioning he was accustomed to back home. The people were welcoming, and the atmosphere buzzed with life. Charles smiled, exhilarated by the vibrant colors and laughter all around him. He could hardly believe he had finally made it. Could this truly be the paradise he had envisioned? However, reality quickly set in. The initial thrill faded as he faced his first challenges. Language became a barrier, not just on the streets, but in conversations that he found painfully awkward. Though he had made an effort to learn a few basic phrases, he quickly discovered that communication was far more complex than he had anticipated. Misunderstandings with locals left him feeling isolated, unsure of how to navigate even the simplest situations, like ordering food or asking for directions. The financial aspect also proved to be more complicated than he imagined. While he had calculated his budget based on certain expectations, the unexpected costs of daily life soon drained his resources. He found himself grappling with unfamiliar currency, and his meticulous budgeting began to slip through his fingers. Hadn't he prepared well enough? Did he misjudge his ability to thrive in this new setting? These thoughts circled in his mind constantly, casting a shadow over his initial excitement. Loneliness became an unwelcome companion. Charles missed the easy camaraderie he once took for granted. In bars and cafes, he felt like an outsider, watching people laugh and chat around him while he sat in silence, unsure of how to break into their circles. He yearned for friendships, for that sense of belonging that seemed almost tangible back home but felt impossibly distant in this foreign land. Charles, an American in his 30s, always felt a pull toward something different, something beyond the mundane life he had known. The 9-to-5 grind seemed to stretch endlessly, each day blending into the next, the same routines wearing on his spirit. Deep inside, he harbored a growing dissatisfaction with life in the United States, where the pursuit of success often overshadowed the more significant joys of living. The long hours spent in meetings and the constant pressure to achieve left him yearning for a different way of life, a chance to start anew somewhere that offered the promise of adventure and deeper connections. After hours of late-night scrolling through travel blogs and photos of stunning destinations, Charles stumbled upon the Philippines. The vibrant culture, friendly people, and breathtaking landscapes captured his heart and imagination. He pictured himself basking on the beaches with crystal-clear waters, tasting exotic fruits from local markets, and perhaps even falling in love with someone who appreciated life's simple pleasures as he began to shift priorities. The idea of moving to the Philippines became an obsession. He started to wonder if this wasn't just an escape, but rather a necessary journey for his soul. Convinced that he had found his answer, Charles began to plan his move meticulously. Days blended into weeks as he researched cities, the best times to visit, local customs, and communal traditions that could enrich his experience. Each new nugget of information fueled his excitement for the upcoming adventure. He spoke with others who had made similar moves, absorbing their stories, and their words ignited a spark of hope within him. What if this is the place where I finally find myself? He often thought. A new life filled with love, laughter, and personal fulfillment beckoned him. Yet, beneath the surface of all this enthusiasm lay an underlying fear. What if it didn't work out? What if he was simply romanticizing an experience that would be fraught with challenges he couldn't even begin to imagine? These doubts occasionally crept into his mind, but he quickly pushed them aside, telling himself that all great adventures come with risks. The allure of a new beginning was stronger than the fear of the unknown. As the departure date approached, he said his goodbyes, packing his life into 2 large suitcases and a carry-on. He felt a mix of exhilaration and trepidation, wondering if he was truly ready to leave everything familiar behind. Arriving in the Philippines felt like stepping into a dream. The warmth enveloped him as soon as he stepped out of the airport, a stark contrast to the cool, sterile air conditioning he was accustomed to back home. The people were welcoming, and the atmosphere buzzed with life. Charles smiled, exhilarated by the vibrant colors and laughter all around him. He could hardly believe he had finally made it. Could this truly be the paradise he had envisioned? However, reality quickly set in. The initial thrill faded as he faced his first challenges. Language became a barrier, not just on the streets, but in conversations that he found painfully awkward. Though he had made an effort to learn a few basic phrases, he quickly discovered that communication was far more complex than he had anticipated. Misunderstandings with locals left him feeling isolated, unsure of how to navigate even the simplest situations, like ordering food or asking for directions. The financial aspect also proved to be more complicated than he imagined. While he had calculated his budget based on certain expectations, the unexpected costs of daily life soon drained his resources. He found himself grappling with unfamiliar currency, and his meticulous budgeting began to slip through his fingers. Hadn't he prepared well enough? Did he misjudge his ability to thrive in this new setting? These thoughts circled in his mind constantly, casting a shadow over his initial excitement. Loneliness became an unwelcome companion. Charles missed the easy camaraderie he once took for granted. In bars and cafes, he felt like an outsider, watching people laugh and chat around him while he sat in silence, unsure of how to break into their circles. He yearned for friendships, for that sense of belonging that seemed almost tangible back home but felt impossibly distant in this foreign land. Challenged by these moments of doubt, he often pondered. What had prompted him to take such a leap, and would he ever find a sense of belonging? A part of him yearned for the familiar comforts of his old life, the friends who understood him without needing to bridge the gaps of language and culture. Yet, he also felt a flickering determination within him, a glimmer that maybe, just maybe, he could turn this around. Then, on an otherwise mundane Tuesday afternoon, Charles found himself seated at a cafe's sanctuary from the chaos outside. He ordered a mango shake, his favorite. The waitress, noticing his struggle with Tagalog, smiled warmly and began chatting with him in English. Her name was Liza, and her laughter was infectious. A conversation sparked, revealing a shared love for travel and adventure. As the two conversed, Charles felt something shift. Liza shared stories of her own experiences, the challenges she faced as a local navigating a world shaped by both tradition and modernity. In her, he saw someone who understood the beauty of resilience and the longing for connection. This encounter ignited a flicker of hope within him. Could he find friendships in the most unexpected places? What if there were others like her, ready to welcome him as he navigated this new chapter of his life? Liza became a significant part of Charles's life in the Philippines. She introduced him to her circle of friends, a group of vibrant individuals who mirrored her spirit, open-hearted, adventurous, and full of laughter. Meeting them marked a turning point for Charles. Each shared experience, from beach outings to food tastings, began to chip away at his isolation. Repeatedly, he found purpose in connecting with these people who offered warmth and laughter in abundance, reminding him of what he had been missing. As Charles forged these new relationships, he started to learn more about the culture slowly and thoughtfully. Every interaction opened a door, revealing the richness of Filipino traditions that were both fascinating and beautiful. Here was an opportunity for him not just to integrate, but to embrace the complexity of a culture filled with vibrant festivals, family-oriented values, and culinary delights that transcended mere sustenance. Still, he knew he needed to make practical changes in how he approached life in the Philippines. He began exploring creative ways to manage his finances, tapping into skills he had overlooked before, such as his photography, which allowed him to showcase the environment around him. Would it be possible to turn his passion into something greater? A path to success in his new home? These thoughts began to take root. Perhaps he could create a unique connection between himself and the land he now inhabited. In those moments of triumph, he also faced setbacks, realizing that adapting was not a linear path but a winding road filled with ups and downs. Yet, each step forward felt more enriching than the last, and as he stood on the threshold of this brand new chapter, he pondered how much more awaited him. It became clear, he had the power to shape his experience. Would he continue to let fear dictate his choices, or would he embrace the uncertainty with open arms? The answers were becoming clearer with each passing day, and the thrill of possibility began to drown out the echoes of doubt he had once felt so acutely. As Charles settled into his new life, he began to understand that change wasn't just about changing locations. It was also about shifting his mindset. The warmth of friendships he forged, particularly with Liza and her circle, acted as a bridge to a new reality that was both exhilarating and terrifying. He could no longer remain a passive observer, an outsider looking in. It was time for him to dive deeper into this world, to embrace the culture and community that surrounded him. The question loomed over him: how could he truly adapt and thrive in this new environment? Charles often found himself reflecting on the stark contrasts between his past life in the United States and his current situation in the Philippines. In the US, it was all about the hustle. There was a script everyone seemed to follow: the education system, the job market, and the relentless pursuit of success defined by material wealth. Here, in the Philippines, life wasn't governed by the same rules. Family and community took precedence over individual achievement. Charles felt the weight of these cultural differences, yet he also felt drawn to the values of connection and simplicity that permeated every interaction. One Saturday morning, Liza invited him to join her family for a local festival celebrating a harvest. Nervously, he prepared himself for an immersion into a culture he was still learning about. Could this be another opportunity to connect, to feel a sense of belonging? As they approached the festival, the vibrant sounds of music and laughter filled the air, creating a palpable energy that swept him off his feet. The streets were adorned with colorful banners, and the smells of various local delicacies wafted through the air, overwhelming his senses. Witnessing the festival unfold was nothing short of magical. Families came together, laughter echoed, and the spirit of celebration engulfed him like a warm embrace. As he stepped into the thrumming heart of the festival, he felt a sense of exuberance he hadn't experienced in a long time. In the midst of the dances, the music, and the joy spilling from every corner, Charles realized something profound. He could be a part of this. He could belong to this vibrant tapestry of life. That day, he danced and celebrated alongside Liza's family and friends, immersing himself in the joys of the occasion. They welcomed him with open arms, and for the first time since his arrival, he felt an authentic connection. It was in that joyful chaos that he recognized how far he had come. The isolation and doubt that had plagued him began to dissipate. This was not just a fleeting moment, it was the turning point he had longed for. As Charles embraced the festivities, he also took the time to explore his creative side, especially through photography. With Liza's encouragement, he began capturing the moments of celebration. Around him, candid shots of laughter, colorful traditions, and portraits of those who welcomed him. Through his lens, he experienced a transformation. He wasn't merely an observer anymore, but a participant actively engaging with the life unfolding before him. Each click of the shutter became a way for him to connect, to share stories, and to understand the depth of the culture surrounding him. Emboldened by this newfound passion, he started sharing his photographs on social media, showcasing the vibrant culture of the Philippines. To his surprise, the response was overwhelmingly positive. Many locals appreciated his perspective, thanking him for portraying their country with such beauty and vibrancy. Encouraged by this reception, Charles began to consider turning his photography into a business. What if he could establish a platform that brought together his love for photography with a deeper connection to the people he had grown to care about? As he navigated this journey, Charles discovered something about himself he hadn't realized before. He was inherently creative, filled with ideas that overflowed like the waves crashing on the shores nearby. With every photograph, he began to weave a narrative that resonated with others, connecting hearts despite the differences that once seemed insurmountable. He learned that vulnerability was not a weakness, but an invitation to connect more deeply with those around him. The idea of living authentically, of sharing his own journey, empowered him to approach life differently. With each day, he leaned into this process of adaptation, gathering stories not just from his own experiences, but from those he met. He became a storyteller, someone who listened and shared in the lived experiences of others. This evolution sharpened his perspective, allowing him to feel a sense of belonging that transcended borders and expectations. He would indeed need to make creative sacrifices, seek out opportunities in hospitality, and branch out into tourism to build a sustainable life that embraced both his passions and the people he cherished. Through these transformative experiences, Charles learned that belonging was not an instantaneous feeling. It was built over time, cultivated through patience and authenticity. Each new friendship, every shared experience, added another layer to his understanding of what it meant to call a place home. He reflected on how easy it had been to feel isolated just a short while ago, yet now he was developing roots in this foreign land. The aspiration to capture and share these moments fueled his passion further. Empowered by the stories and experiences he was gathering, he began to build a portfolio. He contemplated showcasing his work in local cafes, or possibly collaborating with local businesses seeking to promote their culture. Excited by this idea, he found himself thinking about all the possibilities it could unlock. What if my love for photography leads to something bigger? He mused one evening, jotting down ideas in the notebook that had become his constant companion. As he theorized, he also found himself drawing closer to understanding not just the culture, but also his relationship with it. With newfound confidence and a consistent pursuit of creativity, Charles stood at the precipice of a vital moment in his life. Would he continue this journey of growth, embracing the unknowns, or would he risk returning to a life that felt safer but ultimately less fulfilling? The joy of discovery beckoned him onward, and he committed himself to not only documenting this life but also living it fully. The festival's laughter lingered in his heart, igniting a renewed sense of purpose. It was time to break free from his past hesitations and embrace the vibrant tapestry of life in the Philippines. With each passing day, Charles found himself diving deeper into his new life. The initial excitement had morphed into a profound appreciation for the community he was slowly becoming part of. His photography was not just a hobby anymore. It was a lens through which he could capture the very essence of the culture he was immersing himself in. As he honed his craft, he learned to appreciate the nuances of everyday life in the Philippines. From the small gestures of kindness to the profound traditions that shape the collective identity of its people. Motivated by the positive feedback he received online, Charles began organizing small photo walks with locals who were eager to showcase their favorite spots. What started as a simple gathering of friends transformed into a growing community around his photography. Participants shared not only their favorite locations, but also their stories and the history behind each place. Through these walks, he learned about the significance of various festivals, the meanings behind local cuisine, and the rich tapestry of narratives that shaped the lives of those around him. During one particularly memorable walk, a local artist named Marco joined the group. Marco was passionate about trying to breathe new life into traditional art forms, often blending them with modern techniques. His energy was contagious, and it resonated with the group. They spoke of their dreams, struggles, and aspirations, weaving a narrative of resilience and creativity. Inspired by Marco's dedication, Charles felt a spark ignite within him. It dawned on him that he didn't just want to capture the visuals of the culture, but also to understand and represent its heart and soul. Energized by this realization, Charles proposed that they collaborate on a project that intertwined their passions. Together, they envisioned a photo exhibition showcasing the beauty of Filipino culture through both photography and art. It would highlight local traditions, stories, and the interconnectedness of their creative expressions. The idea fueled Charles's excitement and purpose. He knew that this collaboration could foster a deeper understanding and appreciation of the culture, while also strengthening community bonds. The planning process revealed its own set of challenges, but with Marco's guidance and encouragement from Liza, Charles navigated through them. They reached out to local businesses for support, set dates for workshops where others could contribute their artistic talents, and began curating their vision for the exhibition. Each meeting brought new ideas and creativity to the table. This collaboration became a journey of self-discovery for Charles as he learned to embrace vulnerability and speak about his own experiences while respecting and honoring the stories of others. As the exhibition date approached, an undeniable wave of excitement intertwined with nervousness washed over him. Would the community respond positively? Would they appreciate the effort put into the event? He spent countless nights perfecting his photographs, ensuring each one encapsulated a moment of beauty and truth. Along the way, He found strength in the connections he had built. They became a support system that breathed life into his passion. Finally, the exhibition day arrived. The venue buzzed with anticipation as locals flocked to see the artwork that had come together. The unique blend of photography and traditional art pieces created a vibrant tapestry of colors and emotions. As people moved through the gallery, Charles witnessed their reactions louder echoed as they recognized familiar faces in the photographs, and soft murmurs filled the room as deeper stories unfolded through the art displayed. In that moment, Charles felt a profound sense of belonging wash over him. He stood alongside Marco and Liza, surrounded by friends and community members who had shared their stories with him. Each fleeting glance exchanged said, "You are one of us." The amalgamation of laughter, appreciation, and pride filled the air, weaving a fabric that bound them closer together. When the night came to a close, the responses were overwhelmingly positive. The exhibition had not only showcased the beauty of Filipino culture, but also fostered deeper connections among the attendees. Conversations flowed freely, and many expressed interest in continuing the discussions beyond the night. Charles felt a joy he never thought possible. He had transformed from a stranger in a foreign land into an integral part of a community that openly welcomed him. The success of the exhibition opened new avenues for Charles. He began receiving inquiries about future projects and opportunities to showcase his work at local events. It was exhilarating to realize that he could carve out a niche for himself in this vibrant landscape, blending his passion for photography with a genuine commitment to the community. Each opportunity challenged him, pushing him to grow and explore his skills further. While his journey in the Philippines was still fraught with uncertainties, Charles began to see life through a different lens. Instead of focusing on the obstacles, he learned to embrace the beauty of the unexpected. The transformation within him was palpable. He was no longer just an observer, but an active participant in the narrative of his life and the lives of those around him. On one quiet evening following the whirlwind of the exhibition, he sat on his balcony gazing at the stars above. It dawned on him that embracing change wasn't just about adapting to a new environment. It was about diving into the depth of life, acknowledging both its challenges and its beauty. Colombia was no longer a distant thought. His new home had taught him the importance of connection, vulnerability, and creativity lessons that would follow him wherever he went. In that moment of clarity, he also realized the power of storytelling. Each photograph he took, each story shared, was a thread weaving the rich fabric of human experience. He resolved to continue documenting these experiences, to highlight the narratives that often went unnoticed, and to serve as a bridge between cultures. With renewed purpose, Charles began to map out his next steps, motivated to empower those around him while continually exploring the wonders of the world that awaited him in this new chapter of life. With the success of the exhibition still fresh in his mind, Charles felt invigorated and inspired to deepen his storytelling through photography. He recognized the immense power of narratives, not only those of his own, but also the narratives embedded within the lives of the people he met. His previously daunting fears began to transform into courage, paving the way for new adventures. Encouraged by the local community and the connections he had fostered, Charles began to embark on a new project titled Voices of the Islands. His goal was to explore the diverse stories of individuals across the Filipina stories that reflected the heart and struggles of the people living within these vibrant landscapes. He envisioned a collection of portraits paired with interviews, allowing the subjects to share their experiences, hopes, and dreams. As he delved further into this project, he understood that to genuinely represent their stories, he needed to build trust and establish rapport with those he aimed to photograph. This required patience and an open heart, qualities he was eager to cultivate as he reached out to local communities across various islands. One of his first stops was an artisanal fishing village on a nearby island called Bantayan. There, he met fishermen and their families who had lived off the sea for generations. They welcomed Charles with warmth, sharing not only their daily routines, but also the stories of their ancestors, the significance of the ocean to their livelihoods, and the challenges they faced in modern times, such as climate change and overfishing. Through conversations, he learned about the resilience of these communities, their unwavering spirit to preserve their way of life, and their hopes for future generations. During his time in Bantayan, he documented fishermen as they prepared their nets at dawn, families gathering for meals, and children swimming in the crystal clear waters. Each photograph resonated with the essence of their lives filled with joy, hardship, and a profound connection to the land. This journey to Bantayan became a learning experience for Charles. The fishermen taught him about their craft and the balance required between nature and their livelihoods. He marveled at the stories of resilience and identity that wove themselves into the fabric of their everyday existence. By capturing these moments, Charles realized he was not only documenting lives, but also celebrating the spirit of community and the profound relationship between individuals and their environment. As he continued his travels from island to island, each community presented its own tapestry of history and culture. In the highlands of Luzon, he met with indigenous tribes who shared stories of their ancestors, their struggles for land rights, and the importance of preserving their heritage in a rapidly changing world. In contrast, on the bustling streets of Manila, he documented the dynamic lives of urban dwellers thriving amidst the chaos and the beauty of city life. Through his lens, Charles found beauty in the everyday lives of people he encountered. He often conducted informal interviews, allowing his subjects to share their stories authentically. He learned that every individual he met had a unique perspective shaped by their experiences, dreams, and aspirations. His role was simply to listen, create a safe space for their voices to emerge, and capture those moments of truth. However, this journey was not without its challenges. As Charles immersed himself in these diverse cultures, he grappled with feelings of inadequacy and questioning whether he could effectively represent their stories. There were times when he worried about appropriating narratives that weren't his own. He sought guidance from local elders and community leaders, ensuring he approached each story with respect, authenticity, and sensitivity. One of the key principles he adopted was to give back to the communities he worked with. Understanding that storytelling was a two-way street, he began organizing photography workshops where participants could harness their creativity and learn how to document their own stories. Sharing skills became a powerful way to empower locals, allowing them to express themselves and showcase their own narratives. As months passed, Charles accumulated a body of work that was both rich and diverse, an awe-inspiring look at the stories that shaped the islands of the Philippines. As he pieced together his project, he saw not merely isolated tales but interwoven narratives that connected each community to a larger story about resilience, hope, and collaboration. To celebrate these stories, he envisioned hosting another exhibition that would not only showcase his photographs, but also invite the storytellers themselves. A celebration of voices, he imagined the event filled with laughter, music, and shared experiences, a space where the subjects of his portraits could meet, mingle, and connect. This idea reignited the sense of belonging he had first felt during his previous exhibition, and he tirelessly worked to bring this vision to life. As the date of the exhibition approached, Charles felt a mixture of excitement and trepidation. Would the community embrace this celebration? Would they feel represented? Delegating tasks to Liza and Marco helped alleviate the pressure. They became integral parts of this project, supporting him and amplifying the voices of their communities. Finally, the day of the exhibition arrived. The venue buzzed with anticipation as people from different islands gathered to share in the experience. Charles felt a sacred energy in the era culmination of stories, laughter, and connections fostering unity amidst diversity. The walls of the venue, adorned with portraits, spoke volumes. Each image invited attendees into the lives of those whose stories filled the room with warmth. Hearing the storytellers narrate their own tales amidst the photographs was a transformative experience. Farmers spoke of their connection to the land, fishermen shared their deep reverence for the sea, and artisans conveyed the significance of keeping their craft alive. The audience listened with rapt attention, creating a vibrant atmosphere of mutual respect and understanding. As the event unfolded, Charles witnessed the powerful exchange of stories, bridging divides among people from different backgrounds. Strangers became allies, and laughter resonated, reminding everyone that storytelling has the power to unite. The exhibition was not just about his photography. It had grown into a celebration of community, resilience, and shared experience. As the night came to an end, Charles felt a profound sense of gratitude wash over him. He had come to realize that his journey in the Philippines was not just about adapting to a new country, but about understanding the universal human experience. Each story he captured deepened his appreciation for the rich tapestry of life and the threads that connect us: a love, hope, and the longing for belonging. Reflecting on his journey, Charles hadn't just changed, he had transformed. He was no longer that uncertain traveler navigating through a sea of unfamiliarity. Instead, he had become a storyteller who sought to empower and uplift the voices of those around him. The Philippines had taught him that every moment, every interaction, every story mattered in a world craving connection. With renewed determination, he prepared for the next chapter of his journey. He would continue documenting stories, honoring the cultures he encountered, and using his art to encourage others to remember the beauty of their own narratives. Together, they would weave new tapestries of hope and resilience, bridging divides and creating a world where every voice mattered.